Hello, my name is Marlise Bullinger, and I will be doing my presentation on felt. The origins of felt are not known. However, it is believed to be one of the world's oldest fabrics. Um, there are many evidences throughout history that it is the oldest because it didn't require any spinning or weaving. There are some archaeological remains that are felt, but those are very sparse and few in between. There is also some proof in pottery and art implicating the use of felt making. We have to go off of the depictions as well because since felt is a fabric, it does not do well throughout time when, especially if it's buried or other things, it will deteriorate. But that being said, it is mostly accepted that felt originated in Turkey or the Altai Mountains in Central Asia. Felt is typically composed of wool, animal fur, acrylonitrile. I apologize, I can't say that one. Or rayon. The felt manufacturing process. The earliest felts were made with wool or animal furs, and then in the 20th century, synthetic fibers such as rayon and acrylic were developed and then used in the felting process. This was a big deal because it made it cheaper to be able to produce since you didn't have to have the animals. But this all being said, it is important to note that the consumers still consider the natural fibers of either wool or animal fur to be a higher quality felt than the synthetics. That brings me to the process over here on the right. First, we have the harvesting process. This obviously would be in the case of a natural fiber. If it was a synthetic fiber, you'd have to either make or acquire acrylic or rayon. Once those fibers have been harvested, in whichever way it is, and cleaned, they are taken and combed. This combing device is a cylinder that's studded with steel nails that combs through them and separates and preps the fibers for carding. The carding machine cards these fibers into loose webs with standardized spaces between these fibers. Once it's been carded, the felt moves on to the creating rolls where these are cross-lapped, so they, instead of being in a straight line, they would overlap with each other so that the strands crisscross back and forth to make a roll. Once they're on the roll, it takes 4 rolls to make a bat, and then those bats are exposed to heat, moisture, and it completes the final shrinking process. This is because when agitated, wool will shrink, etc., and they want to make sure that that doesn't happen to the fabric once it's finished. After that, it is moved to the rollers, and industrial machines use rollers to smooth out the irregularities and to make the finished felt fabric. The properties of felt. As mentioned, it is pressed. It is not spun or woven, and this allows it to have a little bit more stretch. There's not any threading or yarns or weave to restrict its stretch, I apologize. And thus it also molds well, since it doesn't have those limitations of a flat surface. When prepared a certain way, it is also considered water resistant and sometimes even waterproof. Felt is a great insulator against sound as well as heat. It helps dampen vibrations. Felt does not ravel or fray, and thus when it's cut will have clean edges. And because of this, it may cut to any size, shape, or thickness without having to have a finished edge. There are so many amazing uses for felt. For example, the first one would be in apparel. Since it is a great insulator of heat, it is used in hats, coats, and boot linings to keep the body warm. It is used in housewares for decorative pillows, handbags, hats, again for the decorations of Another use is for arts and crafts for both children and adults. My favorite is this little dinosaur over here. He's needle felted. And since felt is so versatile, you can create it into almost anything. It can also be used in blankets, such as horse blankets, emergency blankets, or moving blankets. And up here in the corner right here, you can also see it's used in instruments to keep things from hitting walls. It has so many amazing uses. This is my information for my my citations for my information, as well as my citations for my